So the second question that we got that we're going to answer tonight is working student position. Somebody's asked about what we expect, what the results of giving are, and I think it's a great question because I don't think many people understand. I'll tell you what happens. Everybody goes, "Oh, I'm going to be a working student," and then they come in and think, "Oh, I'm a slave. I get nothing out of it." And what they don't understand, I say this to the kids that come in, I'm like, if you want to make it in this, you need to learn all the things that are going on in the barn, all the things as to how I might do what my horses in the variety of horses I have and the different ways you approach them in their training. The fact that you get to see 4-star horses galloping and 3-year-olds getting broke. You should learn every aspect of the trade if you're in this program, and most of that learning is not done by lessons. It's done by being actually on site, seeing how you treat cellulitis, seeing how a tendon should look, or what bumps to be worried about and what ones not to be as concerned about. And I was reading actually an article in a Warm Blood magazine just yesterday that Boyd wrote, or he had someone write for him. They put his name on it. About some working students he had, and I think it was actually, oh God, I can't remember who it was, but there was 4-star riders now, and he said the big thing was for them was that getting the confidence of being around a program that was producing, and that most people don't understand. That's the value in it. The lesson, the 45-minute lesson, is really worthless alongside of that. I did a working student position in England for a year. And I went over, I had no horse, I had a place to stay, and I had meals, and that was it. We worked a lot of times 7 days a week. We'd often have 13 to 16-hour days. I have a lot of documentation when I wrote it all down in a diary back then. But from that program, I'd already ridden at the 2-star level on several different horses. I'd jumped open jumpers at big competitions in North America. But going to that program, what it did is it gave me a huge amount of information and knowledge, and I was able to come back over here and start off immediately into my my business, because that's what I learned most over there, with confidence in knowing how to gallop correctly 2-star horses, how to gallop in position, all the practice stuff that weren't involved in the lessons, all the legwork things, all the stuff that I learned there that I'm still using now. And none of those involved someone standing in the middle of the arena teaching me. The problem is people think that the work they're doing in the barn a lot of times is like, oh, I'm doing work. Well, let me tell you, if you think that's work in the barn, then you need to choose a different career, because I've done every single job in this industry. My first gig in this was mucking stalls at a barn down the road, and then Spruce Meadows after the shows. I'd go there and I'd get paid by the hour to go and muck, with a couple other guys, like 200 to 400 stalls, picking up after all the kids that got to, to ride their expensive horses there. But it was probably the only position that I should have had at that point. And long term, sure, do I want to muck stalls? No, not at all. But I can do a good job on it. I can fix equipment on my farm. I can do everything in this industry. And lucky for me, I managed to continue to build upwards to the point where I'm actually able to do it at the top level as well. Not as well as I'd like to yet, because I think we're always looking for that end goal that you never actually reach it. And all of that stuff, I can honestly say my whole career, the pivotal part to it was that time as a working student. And I don't think I even got a lesson after the first 6 weeks. And I'm not complaining about it, because I couldn't have learned more by taking 10 lessons a day, because the stuff that I needed to know about how to take care of horses, how to keep them going, answering these questions, how to bring horses back after 4 stars, those sorts of things, I knew it all before I even had gotten that situation, because I'd learned it in an environment that truly educated. And I'd say that your working students should end up. Look, the other thing is you can't teach what people won't learn. If you can't learn it while you're in there, if you can't walk in that barn and look at walk through the barn. When you walk down a barn aisle, I look at water buckets just because. And when I notice that the water bucket is low or empty or shoes off of a horse, and my wife or I notice it like immediately when it comes out of the stall and someone else has let it in from the field, we notice it because we have that eye for it. And that's what as a working student you're supposed to be developing, because that's how you become the professionals. You start to notice stuff that actually matters. So my working student program, that's my thoughts on working student things. I think people do themselves a big disservice not doing them. But my kids do 6 days a week. They start at 6:30 in the morning. They go till about 12:30, and then they get a break for about 3 hours, and then they come back in at 3. The break is usually when they get their lessons or they ride their own horse. We ride in the morning, and then in the afternoon I teach, and then from 3 till about 5:30 or 6, they're in the barn, brushing, taking care of odds and ends, getting them fed for the evening, and then turned out, because my horses typically go out at night. And we try to stick to that schedule. We try to keep them. I'd say that we've only probably missed a day off once in the last 3 years, and we made it up to the kids after. We're very regimented on it, and I say to them, if they're in here and this is overwhelming, then this is not a good business for you, because you can't find a more consistent schedule, I don't think, and be any sort of success in this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, where I grew up, if you were looking for the day off or you were looking for the break, you're in the wrong place. And, so I pretty much say to all the people that want to come to be working students, they have to come and try out. And, it's the people that work hard end up loving it, and the people that don't work hard end up hating me. And I think that's about the first thing I tell everybody, is the first part of this is working, and the second part is student. And you really, you get what you put, you get out of it what you put into it. And, if you really want to do this, my place is not for everybody. It's high energy. It's, we don't like to be second kind of deal. And growing up, I was always told I could never ask somebody to do something I couldn't do better than them. And that was sort of dad's motto. And so I can muck a stall, I can clean tack, I can, one thing I'm pretty sure, if I'm beating you at braiding, we're in big trouble. But
yeah, so I was gonna that's what I always say is, I say to them, I can do everything in that barn better than you can, except braid. I can't braid worth a damn.
And I'll negotiate out of braiding any day. But it is, as I say to everybody, so little of my life is actually riding horses. And, I have to talk to the owners and the sponsors so that you can get the horses, and that you have to be able to take care of the horses. If you don't take care of the horses, I'm going to keep walking up. My baby is crying, and my wife has gone to the movies, and so I'm head babysitter. So we're gonna do this on the fly here. So
I don't think it's called being a babysitter when it's your kid, Buck. I hate to break it to you. That's called being a parent.
I'm a working student at this. I'm no days off here, no pay, and I'm just getting yelled at by my baby. Oh, dark. Hi, Aubrey. Would you like to be on the show? Hello. What do you think? Hello. Oh, there she is. All right. We got her. We got her tamed here. But being being a working student, I think it was Sinead was telling us on some trip that when she went to Williams, she was sort of like, kind of, where are my lessons, or when are my lessons? And he's like, what do you mean? Just look around. That's your lesson. And that is so true. And it's so, the coach sitting down in the ring saying, turn left, turn right, put your right leg, put your left leg. If you're not looking around, getting a lesson in everything you do, then that's your mistake, not the coach's mistake. And just like you said, I think the working student thing is being part of a team and figuring out maybe most of the working students and most people that start off in this, just like kids that go to college, they don't really know what they want to do, and they find out that maybe this isn't what they want to do, or this is what they want to do. And if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or a vet or whatever, you're a gopher for a little while. And in every other industry, that's how you learn. You're an intern, and that's how you gain experience and you get connections. And from the start of being a working student, that's your first that's the first thing you can put on your resume. And so if I have some working students that are working high up the corporate ladder, and sometimes companies call me to say, hey, how was this person? And it's amazing that down the line, people that don't even do horses, but if they were successful at my place, they're successful in the Fortune 500 companies.
That's I say that to everybody. I say, that I can pick the kids that have worked for me that I know are going to go on to be successful. It doesn't matter if they do this. You can tell, because the way you do one thing is the way you do anything. And
exactly.
They are so easy to spot. And here's the other thing with that is, people are like very reluctant. Like there's always this huge undercurrent of how horrible being a working student is. It is the job, is being involved in the horses and having those days. And like, we're going to do this show. I've got 3 things over at the barn I got to do because I'm leaving for a show tomorrow. And my kids that work for me right now are like, we went through a bit of a bad patch there recently. And now I've got these great kids in that barn. They're so attentive. They're not very old, but they're just really on it. But I still have to go and do stuff that they might not be able to do, that they might not even realize that I'm going to go and do. But it's just the reality. If there, if there was one person in the barn, then I'm going to be over there more. And the one thing I will say that changed for us for being in the barn, like both Jen and I used to live through being in the barn, but having kids changes that, because it's not fair to them for me to not be involved in what they're doing. And so there is a little bit of a change up there, but you're so right with, I think a lot of it, when people come into this, they think this is what they want to do. They loved being at the barn because they hang out at the barn and, at home, and they love being at parents will say, oh, my kid's at the barn 12 hours a day, but they're at the barn 12 hours a day. It's a little bit like if I said, I really like, going to the mall. I think I want to own a mall. Hanging out at the mall isn't the same as running the mall. Riding the horses and hanging out with your friends at the barn is not the same as doing this as a job. If you have passion for the horses and you have a passion for the sport, it might manifest itself that after being a working student, you decide that you want to be a farrier or you want to be any number of things, but you can't predict that. And the one thing you definitely can't do is say, oh, I'll learn this by taking lessons. The lessons are going to help you. You're absolutely right. But the number of kids I'll have come back from a competition, and I'll look at the horse's legs and I'll be like, oh my God, when did that come up? And they'll be like, what? And I can tell them, to a fairly solid degree of what they've got going on. And it's only because of the experience I've got, which they could learn off of other people's horses if they've been working students. And that's what they need to understand, is that you get to see at my barn, I think there's 20 some horses at the moment. You're going to see everything. I promise you, horses are going to go lame. You're going to get to figure it out, because you're going to see this if you stick with the sport. It's not about winning the ribbons. It's about all the stuff you do building up to it.
And the harsh reality of this sport and this industry, that that the professional doesn't actually have that much money in, and if you think that our life is those 5 days of Kentucky, you're sorely mistaken. If you think it's the fancy parties and it is the tedious day to day when it's pouring rain and 30 below, then I guess that would be snow. But you would, you need to be out there. And those are the days that, as they say, champions are made when no one's looking. And it can be a great experience. I mean, I was a working student over in Ireland, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And the people that, the camaraderie and the team that the group that you're around are with you for the rest of your life. And it was really important to me that I went over there and made a good impression, and that not only did myself proud, but did my family proud. And there's a sort of a side to me too that wanted to say, all right, you know what, I'm a lazy American. I was going to go over there and I would be the first one up in the morning, and I'd be the last one to leave. And I never wanted to have anybody say that, I didn't pull my weight.
Well, and it's funny. Like I wasn't the first one up in the morning because I hate getting up in the morning, but I almost took perverse pleasure in all of the stuff I did when I was an early professional, where I had to do all the horses myself, mucking, everything, including braiding poorly. But I took a perverse pleasure almost in the amount of stuff I could handle and take and do, and it drove me. And that was actually on those days where I was out there in that 30 below weather where it was horrible. And I'd be out there and have 2 working students out with me. And there was a little bit of a like, you know what, I'm going to do this because right now I'm doing it and nobody else is doing it. And, you got to find, I guess it's a little bit in that competitive nature. You have to find the thing that makes you tick. And the only way you find that is to put yourself in those situations, because you can say, oh, you know what? It's hot today and I'm tired and I don't want to ride my horse. And if you can't find time to ride your own horse in doing this, then you don't want this at all. You better find that time, and then you want to throw on every other horse in the barn. Then you want to go out in the paddock and grab 2 of the young horses and say, you know what, can we start breaking these ones, and just really invest yourself in it, because you don't know if your job might not be, like you said, you get 5 days at Rolex. But I mean, I probably, for those cumulative at Rolex, maybe 20 minutes of riding, of competing, I probably ride, I don't know how many hundreds of hours during a year for those 20 minutes on that horse and on all the other horses, because the majority of the horses aren't going to be Rolex horses, but you better know how to deal with them if you want to be professional. Dan,
I had a great story, one of the all-time best sort of working student stories, and it was a girl, it's a really good girl, and she rides well, and she worked hard, and she's just a really nice kid. And so she said to me, Buck, I think I need to, make some money, and I'd really like to stay here, but I need to go and make some money, and so I think I would need a lot more money to stay here. And I said, okay, well, how much more money do you think you'd need? And she said, well, I think like about $2,000 a week. And I put my hand out, shook her hand, and said, best of luck. Best of luck to you. And I thought, wow, after all this time, that's what they got out of this, is that they need $2,000 a week. Where do they think that's coming from? Good luck, And so it's,
And it is
that. Not, they're finding out that they're not getting $2,000 a year now. And sometimes, it is, in this game, you can go out and sort of, put your sign up outside and say, oh, I'm a riding instructor, or I'm a this, that, or the other thing. And, but eventually you will be found out. And I think the people that are successful really didn't go out on their own too early, that they really, knew what they were doing, to a certain level. And you never know, exactly what you need until you do it by yourself. And, I remember when I went out on my own, oh my God, the just little things, the hay on the floor of the trailer that you would sweep out and throw in the trash. I mean, I was picking them up and handing it to the horse in my hand and saying, come on, buddy, eat. And, but there's so many experiences for working students. But at the flip side, there are people that, take advantage of the working student situation, and that's not good for the industry. It's not, it's not the right way to take care, to treat people, and but
I think the thing is, when you're talking about it, like I know people that go, and I've seen them going to working students places. You want to make sure the person you're working for has a resume. Like your working students should have. If you're going to be a working student, then you want to be able to say, well, what is that work? What have the working students from that program gone on to do? Have they done what I want to do? Is it going the direction I want to go? And if it doesn't, find one that suits. I've had some good working students that went on to other places that were very good with them and that I didn't particularly get on with. They have to be able to work within the program. And then I think that it is so important that, and this is the reality. I turned one down a couple of years ago. She was a client of mine. She was a good kid. Her parents tried to get me to take her in for a while. She bought a nice intermediate horse. And I said to her parents, I'm like, no, I said, I like her. I like you guys. And if she comes to work for me, it's going to be a nightmare because I'm going to have to yell at her. I'm going to have to teach her how to work because you guys have never taught her how to work. And so you're going to make me into the horrible person. And if she'd been applying from some other place and I didn't know her, I would have taken her in. But that's all it is I would have had to teach her how to work, how to dig in on, oh, I'm feeling sick today. It doesn't matter. You're at the barn. Oh, I feel like crap today. It doesn't matter. You're at the barn. When I broke my wrist a couple of years ago, the next day I was out teaching at Red Hills because I want to make sure I didn't lose any clients. And my clients also needed me for what I could do there. So I had someone else setting up the jump, hadn't had the pins in my wrist yet. It was just all wrapped up because you can't quit on this job. You have to be able to persevere. So if you got that temperament that you're going to quit, then you probably don't want to apply to the job in the first place.
Exactly. And hopefully you're a quick learner, because I think I'm a pretty quick learner here. I'm looking to get paid for my babysitting duties. Look at this.
Yeah.
I got her tamed. She's not crying anymore. And I think she just keeps smiling. She's like, look at this clown on the screen here. He's funny looking, isn't he? Yeah. He's goofy. Yeah.
You're gonna get paid as much for doing that as you are for the time in the barn.
Exactly.
It's just gonna feel a lot better and closer to your heart.
Exactly.
So I think that, like every situation's a little different. I said what mine do, 6 days a week, the hours. And it is a matter of, don't hate the person you go to work for. Figure out what it is, because I don't think there's any job in the world that you get into that you get to go and be like, oh no, but this doesn't suit me. And I think it's funny, there's all these complaints about millennials and the new generation doesn't know how to work and stuff. It's always been the same. When I was a working student, we had 5 to 6 come through that never lasted more than 2 weeks to 2 months because the job was too hard. That was however many years ago. My parents said it about kids that they had. They said it about me, for God's sakes. There's no difference. It's just that there's only ever a few people that are good enough to do this. The Olympic medals that were won last week, those were won by kids, not necessarily in our sport, but in the other sports, they were won by kids that are the same age that everybody's complaining about. Workers and triers and people that want it, they're still out there. And the people that are going to be lazy and create a bad name for their generation, they're out there too in the same percentage, I would say. So I think we should cut that there. Look, I want to wrap up this segment here and just thank you all for listening. There was 2 questions answered. I'm not sure how long that went on for, but I really appreciate you guys' paying attention and your input, and I hope that was informative. And if you want to apply to be a working student, don't apply to Buck is all I can say.
Exactly. Well, look,
Let's try to take care of a kid.
I am pretty good at taking care of this kid. Look at this hairdo too. I mean, check that out. Like, we get all kinds of stuff. You learn lots of things here at BDJ Equestrian, right, Aubrey? Yeah. Even mostly Kyle's funny looking, but he keeps her right. Keep talking. I think she likes when people talk. So yeah. I just leave Kyle on the screen and he'll be happy.
So she's going to love me.
Yeah. She's going to become a working student for you. You can teach her to work. I don't know if I have the heart to do that. That's
the problem, is it's hard to do it with your own kids.
Exactly.
Anyways, I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll have another episode here in a bit. All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So we got some cool announcement. We got a cool announcement here with the Fantasy Equestrian Team competition coming up next week. This is getting really pretty cool. So the one is a combination between Burley and Poe, and you have to pick riders from both of them to win. And what you win is another mini iPad with Michael Young's signature on the cover, which apparently this guy I hear that he's a good rider and that he might have some success in the future, but so far all he's managed to do is win the Grand Slam, badminton, Burley, Rolex, a couple times at Rolex, and a couple Olympic medals and a World Championships and the Europeans. So he's really not, his future is bright. So this could be worth something to you at some point. What do you think?
He applied to be a working student with you, but you wouldn't take him in.
No.
So, yeah. So
I those Germans just don't know how to work hard enough.
Exactly.
So that's the Burley Poe competition, which is going to be really fun. You also get this. It's not enough that you win the mini iPod. Apparently, they're giving away a .2 AirVest as well. So
iPad, not iPod.
iPad, and let me tell you, I'm going to be playing because I'm going to try and win some of this stuff.
It would be awesome if you could actually win some.
It would be awesome. I still beat you in all of our picks, buddy.
You have to wear the pink hat, don't you, at the AECs?
No, you have to. You've got so many built up on you. You have to wear it like 3 times. We'll do the calculation. You'll be wearing the pink hat there because it's in my trailer.
I'm pretty sure. I know I won the last event.
That's the problem with all the concussions you've had is you think you've won everything.
I know that I definitely won the last event, and I can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure I've won. I only lost once. I'm pretty sure, and that was that's sort of debatable, and it is under protest right now.
It is under protest. Okay, you're just like a soccer player. But then we're going to do a really cool one. I really want you guys to participate in this because we came up with it just before this show, and we approached the Fantasy Equestrian team to put it together, so they're going to do it for us. We're going to go with the ACs, and we're going to pick 2 divisions at the AC. We're going to pick the Advanced Division, obviously, but we're also going to pick the Novice Division as well. So we're going to combine those 2. We're going to pick the Advanced Division with 3 riders or 2 riders, and the Novice Division with 2 riders. We combine those teams. We all play for it. So you might be able to actually bet on your friends, your students, people that you know, get the events, maybe yourself even. So put your money where your mouth is and get on that and put that out there for the competition. I think it's going to be that one's going to be really fun because it brings it right to our personal level.
Just don't bet on Kyle. That's kind of
the
only thing. And you'll see him out there with the pink hat.
No, you won't, because Fox is going to have it all.
He's been doing a lot of losing lately. I am pretty sure I might have lost one, but I think we might have tied, actually. So all the rest of them, I'm sorry. I'm the winner.
All this says to everybody is Buck's afraid of pink, okay?
Buck's not afraid of pink, but I don't want to make it pink and brown or something if I hit the floor or whatever, you know.
Pink and green because they've got good grass there at Tryon.
That's true.
All day long.
It'll make Kyle feel better if I wear it once, so I'll do that.
3 times. All right. So you guys, please join in and compete on the Fantasy Equestrian team. I'm really excited about that, both of those. 1, because of all the prizes, and 2, because I think it's going to be fun to do a Novice Division alongside the Advanced Division. I think that's going to be really cool. And there's a ton of people in that Novice Division. I don't even know how I'm going to figure out how to select. So join that up, and thanks for coming in on the show, and we hope you enjoyed it, these 2 episodes.
Thanks, guys.